of course, Baz, there has been a lot of happening in just the first week. There's been a lot happening while we've been away. We touched on a little bit at the start, some of the losses that we've had and shared in pain and some of the victories and losses. But I want to talk to you just quickly. It's probably nearly at an end, but Luke Beveridge's comments towards Tom Wilson and the...
Tom Morris,
and the roar that went around that afterwards. I don't know how you found it, and you know I'll always defend the coach, but I haven't come across one fan yet that said that Beveridge was out of line. Plenty of journos have had a crack. In your time, have you come across any fans that have thought that Beveridge was out of order?
No, I didn't. And that's a good point. I haven't come across any fans at all that have said that.
I'm talking about whether they're Bulldog supporters or any supporters.
It doesn't matter.
I haven't found any.
Well, I haven't found any either. I haven't talked to too many people about it, but the ones I have all said the same thing. You know, that it's about time that a coach actually stood up and went bang. But this all gets back to, well, I don't know, a leak. There's obviously a leak. Someone's ringing this Tom Morris up going, hey, mate, this bloke's out, this bloke's in, he might be out, he's been doing this. How does he get that information? That's the key.
All right, well, you've been around footy clubs and you've coached, and I've been around clubs a long time. I'm strongly suggesting it's not from the playing group. Or the coaching group. I think so. It's outside. So it's a partner, a wife, an agent. Somewhere along that line is.
Well, he's got a
where
line
it's come
somewhere,
from.
hasn't he? Tom Morris got a line somewhere.
And he's doing his job. I'm not saying that Tom wasn't doing his job, but the follow up on that.
His former job.
Yes, his former job is that people have said to me, you know, do you think he was out of line? I think if you asked Bevo, he would say it didn't come out the way it should have. I was wrong in the way I went at it. But I think that he may be being really smart. I've heard all the theories, and we've all got a theory, and I've not spoke to him about it. But if I was looking at him and the style of coach that he is, I think he's creating an us versus them mentality. So he is using the media now to go, the media are always on us as the dog is. Let's stick it to them. And now, anytime he wants, he can bring that to his group as a point of, it's us versus them, which is a great driving tool. It's high risk for him because he's put himself out there and the media are going to go after him for a long time now because he's offended some of them. But in saying that, I reckon the other point back at that is, okay, so he made a mistake. Can we have the same repercussion every time someone in the media makes a mistake?
Well, you
that's
don't.
on par with that. How would
that
be?
Get that, are you?
No, but how would that be? Any time, pick any journo you like, made a similar mistake that they shouldn't have made, and then every other journo jumped on that and said, "Oh, you were wrong on that," and jumped on them. How would that be?
Well, that's right, but you don't hear that. You don't see that.
You'll never hear
that. And I know I could name a few right now that have made some absolute howlers that just get away with it. Oh well, next week we'll talk about something else.
What about the one where Dusty Martin threatened a woman with some chopsticks in a Chinese restaurant, which was never true? But that was one of the biggest stories for the week at one stage.
Sam Pepper.
Another one. What about when one of the players at Port Adelaide stepped in to break a fight up?
Yes, another one.
Down at Glenelg and stopped a girl from getting attacked. But they wrote it up that he started the fight. Then it came out afterwards that actually he was the one that stepped in and broke it up. So now, if that's not as bad as it gets, yet I never heard any other journos go, oh, Phil got that story wrong. He was way out of line with that one. We had a week where we completely pillared me for getting that wrong.
It's true.
So I just think, I don't agree with what he did, and I think what he did was wrong, and I think he's come out and apologised for that. But I bet you that gets dragged up over the next 12 months pretty solid. But I can see him being smart enough to turn that into an us versus them mentality, which will help his group win some games.
Well, when the president came out and said, "Oh, you know, we've spoken to Bevo, and and nothing," and you think, "Hang on, there's something else here," because he didn't warn him or he didn't say, "Hey, mate, don't do that again," or it was, "No, we've spoken to Bevo."
All right, we want a $25,000 fine was one that someone suggested. We want him rubbed out. Okay, then if it's good enough for that to be out there for that, then let's make it good enough over here. And I reckon there might be a bit of softening from some of the people that do stories. Hey, man, on a different note, I want to ask you this. If you could go to any sporting event in the world that you could go to, now someone's first class, any event, would it be Formula One, Olympics, Wimbledon, FIFA World Cup, Rugby League World Cup, you know, the Ryder Cup for you, mate, because you love that. World Series Baseball. What event, straight up, you've got to pick? Because there's so many, but you've got to pick one. You only get the free ride to one. What are you picking?
The Ryder Cup.
The Ryder Cup for you?
I'm picking the Ryder Cup.
Because?
Because of the
Bigger than the Masters?
Massive.
Yep.
Massive. It's massive.
Yep.
It got me a few years ago at Medina when the Europeans made one of the great comebacks of all time.
Yep.
It was one of the greatest events I've seen on television in any sport, anywhere, anytime. It was just one of the greatest days that I've ever seen. You were glued and you could not move from the television that day for 7 hours. And I've never been in a position where I'll sit for 7 hours, but I was there and I'll never forget it. So I think if you gave me the opportunity to go to the next Ryder Cup,
Yep.
I would be there in a heartbeat.
So you'll take that over
and there's some
everything.
great ones there. You just mentioned
over Wimbledon, over the Olympics, Ryder Cup for you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So my follow-up question is to you. Then you've selected the Ryder Cup as your number one event.
Go to.
So you can't pick golf for your next choice.
Yeah.
Now you can go and watch any individual athlete you like. So it could be LeBron James. It doesn't. They're playing team sport.
Yeah.
Over the journey of time. So you can pick anyone that you could go and watch right now at their peak. So we can wind the clock back.
Yeah.
Who would it be? Would it be Bradman? Would it be Usain Bolt?
Ali.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
He'd be the one fighting
Yeah.
who? Who would you want to see him fight?
I'd like to see him fight Frazier.
Would you go and watch the Thriller in Manila? Would you
I
make
would
that
watch
be the
him
one?
fight Frazier because I think they were the two most genuine, or might have been three, most genuine fights that I've ever seen. And I mean fights. They were brutal. When one wins and then spends the next 4 weeks in hospital after he won,
Yes.
you've been in a fight. I just think he was great. He was to me, the greatest living sportsman
Of all time.
well, in my youth. I mean, I would, but I would still love to have seen him live at his peak.
Well, you may get a chance to look at a lookalike. There was a photo released this morning of Muhammad Ali's nephew who looks exactly like him.
Oh, really?
And he's going to take into boxing.
Oh.
So whether he can have the same charisma that Muhammad had or not, we won't see. All right, the last one before we get to the close. So you can see any sporting event in Australia that you want to see.
Yeah.
What would you go to? Is it England versus Australia in a test game, AFL Grand Final, NRL Grand Final?
No, I think the AFL GF would be,
Grand Final. Be glad to see you back at the MCG
Yes.
this year.
Yeah. I think the AFL Grand Final's got. That's a massive event. That's the pinnacle, I think, of Australian sport. That's what I think, anyway.
What if it was 2-2 in a test, England versus
there you go.
Australia?
That's right.
Would you still go to the AFL
Well, I
Grand
might
Final?
leave the AFL Grand Final and pop down the road and see the test match.
Well, I'm thinking though you'll get 5 days at the test match. You've only got a couple of hours at the MCG. I was just thinking of you with a couple of your mates having a few frothies watching the game.
Yeah.
Over 5 days as opposed to 1.
Now, hang on, you've pumped me here. What about you?
I'd like to tell you, but we have to go to a close, mate. We're about to wrap it up, mate, so you'll have to come back next week and ask those questions, mate. I'd love to get to you and keep it going a little bit longer, but I've got the whole week to think about it, so I don't know if that'll make it easier or more complicated. Hey, mate, it's been great having you back on the show. It's been fantastic getting back on air. Hope you've enjoyed the show, everybody. We'll look forward to your company next week. Bye for now.